I'm Ato Bolden, proud to be bringing you Season 6 of Inside Athletics, brought to you by the IAAF. In a 2017 World Championships full of crazy upsets, my guest today had one of the greatest, defeating the Olympic champion and the world champion en route to winning her very first world title. My guest today is the USA's Phyllis Francis. Phyllis, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So tell me about that final. In doing research for this interview, I realized your time from getting fifth in Rio and your time from winning in London was not that different, but everybody else didn't have the same kind of race. You were the one that was consistent from year to year. So tell me, at what point up that home straightaway in London do you realize, I'm going to be world champion because I'm catching everybody else?
Well, funny that you mention that. Before I got on the track, my coach spoke to me and he told me, just run your race. Don't even worry about it. You have one of the strongest finishes. The last 50 meters, just keep your knees up. I know it feels like you're not moving, but you are. Right. And just hold it together. So last 50 meters to go, I saw that I was within striking distance, so I just kept going and going for it. When I crossed the line, it just felt so surreal and too good to be true. I'm like, did I just really win this? And then I look up on the big screen and I see my face. I'm just like, oh my goodness. Like, I was so happy.
So how has your life changed for somebody who has made teams before, but now for the very first time you're a world champion? Have you noticed a difference? I mean, I know you haven't gotten a chance to go back on the track and compete yet, but in terms of the people around you, your inner circle, has been any change in how people perceive you? Because you're now a world champion.
Right. Well, my inner circle has always been the same. Like, they've always believed in me. Like, right. For this is just kind of like verifying, like, see, you definitely have it. Outside, like, people, I would say more people look up to me. They are more inclined to ask me for advice or what I should do. They want to know everything about me, which is kind of different because I'm a very private person. Right. So it's just different. Not saying it's a bad different. I like it to a certain extent, of course.
But are you ready for that, though? Because, I mean, I've covered you for several years. Are you ready now to be that? Because you're going to be the face of this event at least for the next 2 years until you get a chance to defend your title again. Is that something that you've thought about? Like, hey, you know, I may be, as you said, a private person, but as somebody who's a world champion in my sport, I gotta open up a little bit more now.
Right. Well, you know, that's just something that comes with the sport. Like, I told myself, if you want to become a professional athlete, you're going to have to be prepared to be in the spotlight all the time. People will look at you and pick you with a fine-tooth comb. So I'm definitely ready and prepared for it.
So I look at your event, and it's one of my favorite to cover because of the parody in it. So let's just look at your event now. There's you. You have a 19-year-old who got silver behind you. You have Allison Felix, who says she's hanging on until 2020. And the Olympic champion is younger than you are, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So you have older, experienced folks to deal with. You have younger people coming behind you. Do you look at your event and go, how's that 800 looking these days? Because I know you have some 800 ability as well. Tell me what your assessment of your event is.
You know, I try not to dwell on my competitors.
Yeah.
My friends would always ask me, like, do you know this person? And I'm like, I mean, I know their name, but that's about it, because I feel like it would drive me crazy. I would literally go mad. 800, no, I don't enjoy that race anymore, because once they stopped jogging the first lap, I was like, just over it, like, no. Yeah. But, pretty much.
So let's go back a little bit to your career at the University of Oregon and what a career it was. It seemed to me like, from the outside, it seems to me that you get into that, anybody with any talent from high school gets into that machine, and the team chemistry at that school and what you guys' history now is sort of propels you to the next level. Did that happen for you? You were great in high school in New York, but you went to Oregon and sort of really blossomed as an athlete.
Yeah, I would say the program there is very beneficial for athletes trying to take it to that next step. You know, they work with you, they make sure you're doing well in school so you can be eligible, and they also make sure the training is adequate for you as a person. They kind of tailor that to each athlete. So that's one thing I will commend Oregon for.
So I noticed a change in your sort of tactics. I think I actually mentioned it on the broadcast because you talked about earlier your great finish. And for my money, if I had to explain what sort of a runner Phyllis Francis was, I'd say, yeah, she has a great finish, but sometimes she can let the race get away from her. So she's finishing faster than everybody else, but she's allowed the leaders to get too far ahead. And this year, well, 2017, you improved your 200-meter time, and it seemed to me like you were going out a little bit more aggressively in the first half. Tell me a little bit about what prompted that change in your running.
Well, last year, well, not last year, February, early this year, Coach Anderson told me that you're going to run some hundreds and some 60s. So I was like, all right, this is going to be fun. Yeah, like this is my moment.
Right.
My first 60, that was when my eyes were open, like how fast they just get out. Like there's literally no time.
Yes.
And he pulled me inside and he said, I need you to start pushing out more for the 400. So I just need you to get out. I don't care if you finish in 56, just push out.
Right.
So I tried that out in Jamaica and I pretty much scared myself to death because I died the last 50 meters, but he said, I want you to keep pushing out like that, so we're going to train for it.
Right.
So ever since then, I've just been training on pushing out. I mean, I've had some awkward moments where I'll push out, then chill, float, so it was kind of like figuring it out, but once I got it, I got it.
I don't know how much of a student of the sport you are, but tell me about some of your early influences. Who is the person that you looked at and you said, this is what I want to do, this thing called track and field? So I guess I'm asking you for your influences and your heroes, if anything, in the sport.
I would most definitely say Allison Phyllis.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I remember watching...
So idols become rivals because you went from admiring her to beating her now.
Yeah. No, well, Allison, I grew up watching her. My parents, they were like, you're gonna do the same exact thing. You're gonna run that event. Well, the 800 at the time because they were all set on middle distance. And so they were like, you're gonna do that. And I just watch her. I'm like, she just looks so effortlessly, like with such poise and all of that.
And you look very effortless sometimes as well.
Oh, I'm trying.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
So let's switch gears a little bit. What are the things that off the track sort of occupy your time? Yes, you're training, and Lord knows 400-meter training is some of the hardest in the world. But when you are not doing that, what are you up to?
I like to cook.
Really?
Yeah, and
I like to eat.
Yeah, I love to eat, of course. Who doesn't?
So what are your favorite things to cook?
It's a good question, Otto. It's a lot of things I like to cook.
Really?
Yeah, I cook it all. I'll look up on Google like what are some recipes.
Oh, so you'll just like go for it, like look up something on the internet and just.
I actually tried a beef Wellington. That did not turn out well. My friends were like, it's just basically meat and bread. I'm like, well, I tried it. Like Chef Gordon Ramsay did a better job than me, but
right.
I mean, it's Ramsay.
So if we look at you, if we look at where you see yourself in the next, I know Olympic athletes don't get to think that far ahead, but maybe in the next, I would say 5 years. Tell me about some of your goals in terms of time and performance. I mean, obviously everybody wants to be Olympic champion and so on, but tell me about some of your time goals.
Well, I would say
you're under 50 now. You're under 50 fairly consistently now too.
Well, my time goal is I want to try to hit 48.
Yeah. At
least one time in my life is 48, and to continue progressing, staying within top 3, medaling all the time. Those are it's just something simple, something very attainable.
It's funny you should say that because I look at your generation and I think, how have they not gotten to 48 yet? I think Shawnee is capable of 48. I know Allison is capable of it. You are certainly capable of it. Natasha Hastings is capable of it. And I mean, I was a little spoiled because when I was running, that generation was Marie-Jose Perec and Kathy Freeman. And if you did not run sub 49, you were not going to be the world champion or the Olympic champion. I know that there are some people that feel like me and they go, how come the women aren't running faster? I mean, do you feel like you're in an era where you guys should be running faster, or does that not concern you? You feel like, hey, you know what? If I can win with 51 flat, so be it.
Right. Well, I guess it just depends on it. It's all about timing, you know? Like when it happens, it will happen for sure. Yeah, it's all about timing. I mean, who knows? Maybe this year somebody will drop a 48. You never know.
Yeah.
Like, especially with technologies getting better, we're starting to take better care of ourselves, you know.
So you talked about your coach making you, I guess, a little bit more urgent in how you get out of the blocks. Was there a time in 2017 where it all clicked? So you talked about being in Jamaica and going out, but you died. But there had to be a race subsequent to that where you felt like, okay, I went out and I didn't die this time. Tell me about how that clicked for you in your head as well as physically.
I would say that started to click probably around U.S. trials leading up to World. Yeah, Sacramento. I'm trying to recall what my coach told me. Yeah, he just told me to believe in yourself. Like, you definitely got it. And I think it's just more of a mental thing for me. I just had to feel comfortable. Like, he said, this is going to be your new comfortable zone. Like, I know it's weird for you right now, but just get used to it and you'll definitely, like, excel.
We see athletes now sort of trying to find another event. The Olympic champion Shawn Miller attempted a double at Worlds in 2017. Are those the kind of goals that you have? Do you look and you say, well, I'm world champion now, maybe I want to focus more on my 200? Because to me, the 200 is going to benefit your 400 all the time, and we saw it in 2017. Is there any aspirations for doubling at all?
Yeah, of course. I always like a challenge, and to run a little shorter than a 400, why not?
So an excuse to run a little bit less.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm all for it.
All right, well, Phyllis, I think your finish and your expression at those World Championships was one for the books. And now that you're world champion, I wish you all the consistency in the world.
Thank you, Otto. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.